Well, welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon, and today we're making a patterned roll cake, which has been requested by Shama and Azrak. I will show you a few different methods for making the patterns on the cake and some problems to avoid. These are quite a fun way to make a colourful cake without using fondant. To start with, we need to make our patterns, and to do that we need icing sugar and margarine mixed with egg whites. And for this pattern I'm going to split the mixture and make half of it into chocolate and half of it into plain by adding flour to the one and flour and cocoa powder mixture to the other. All of the ingredient quantities are listed on the blog howtocookthat.net. There's a link in the description below this video. Cream together your margarine and icing sugar using electric mixers until they're well combined, and then add in your egg whites and beat that some more. Now I'm splitting the mixture evenly between the two bowls and adding the flour and cocoa powder mixture to one and then the flour to the other one, and then you want to mix those well until you get a paste-like consistency. And then you can colour the mixture according to the pattern or picture that you're making. For this first striped roll cake I need green, pink and a darker pink. And I'm just using liquid colour that you get at the supermarket. You can use gel colours if you want, but the liquid ones are cheaper and they work fine in this recipe. Next you need to take a piece of baking paper and cut it to fit your baking tray exactly. To make the straight lines on the striped cake I'm using sticky tape. Now you can just use clear tape. I'm using a patterned one here so you can see what I'm doing. Place strips diagonally across your paper, overlapping it onto your bench top, and space them at varying widths so that some are really close together so you get some narrow lines and some are further apart. You can overlap some of your sticky tape so you get wider lines of tape as well. Then take some more tape and put it at right angles to the first ones, making small rectangles and then long rectangles and repeating that pattern. Now take your coloured paste and put it into Ziploc bags and begin to pipe across each stripe. Pipe across it and then flatten it out using a knife. I'm using a pattern here of dark pink, brown, green, brown, light pink, brown, and then repeating that all the way to the end. Once you've finished, you need to peel off the tape, starting with the ones that are overlapping across the top. And as you peel those off, you will need to push down on the other sticky tape to stop it from lifting up. Once you've done all of the ones going across, then you can peel off all the other tape that's going in the other direction to reveal your pattern. Then you want to place that on a tray in the freezer for about an hour to go firm. To make your dumb ways to die characters or any logo or design that you want on your cake, just print out a copy of the picture that you want, tape it to the bench, put your baking paper over the top and tape that into position 2, and then colour your paste and using a Ziploc bag with a tiny corner cut off, pipe your design onto the baking paper. If you're making a picture that is just going to be on the top of the cake like I am with these characters, then you want the picture to be 3/4 of the way up your paper. Mine was a little bit low, so move it a little bit higher than I have it here, more towards one side. And don't forget that if you're making a design that has writing or a logo, it will be reversed like in a mirror, so you're going to need to flip it over before you print it out, or you're going to end up with your words being backwards. To make the more detailed design, you can freeze it in stages. For example, here I've left a space for the dark of the eyes and the mouth. I've let the colour freeze and then I'm adding the dark on the top. The other method you can use is to cut a stencil. Here I've cut a heart shape out of thick plastic. Then you can just hold it in place and cover it in your colours. Make sure you don't spread your paste too thin like I did on a few of these because I was running out. If you do that, the shapes won't be clear, especially with the lighter colours. To make the cake part, separate the eggs and then add your cream of tartar to the whites. And the cream of tartar just helps to keep the whites aerated, helps them to whip up well. And put half the sugar into each of the bowls. Then melt your butter either in the microwave or on the stovetop. And then use electric beaters to whip those egg whites until you get firm peaks. You can use those same beaters, just transfer them straight across to the egg yolks and whip up those egg yolks until they look pale and thick. Then fold the whites into the yolks in 3 batches. So take some of it, fold it through, and then once that's through, take another amount and fold that through. Now folding's easier to do with a rubber spatula than it is with a spoon. You need to fold from the bottom around and up over the top, trying to keep as much of that lightness and air in the mixture as possible. Add in half the butter and flour and fold that through, and then add the remaining butter and flour and keep folding until there are no more streaks of butter, turning the bowl as you go so you don't miss any spots. Then you want to pour that over your frozen pattern and spread it right to the edges. Bang the tray on the bench, and the reason we do this is to make sure that the mixture gets all around that frozen pattern and we don't have air bubbles in it. And then bake it in the oven for 7 minutes only. So you need to set your timer. You don't want to overcook it or it will be too dry and it will crack when you try and roll it. Now, one of the secrets to roll cakes not cracking is to use some simple syrup to ensure that they're moist enough to roll. To make it, all you do is add equal parts by volume of sugar and water, then heat it until the sugar is dissolved. Once your cake is ready, take it out of the oven and immediately trim around the edges using a serrated knife. Cover it in baking paper, add another flat baking tray or chopping board on top and flip it over, and then you'll be able to just lift off the tray. The edges will stay in the tray and you're left with a nice neat cake. Peel off the paper straight away while it's still hot and then leave it to cool completely. Place a clean sheet of baking paper over your cooled cake and flip it back over again. And then add your simple syrup. You can do that either using a pastry brush or using a clean spray bottle that you use for adding simple syrup to cakes. Just spray some on. Then spread your filling across the whole cake. You can use buttercream, you can use cream cheese frosting, cream with strawberries, ganache, coffee buttercream with melted chocolate, whatever takes your fancy. And then using your baking paper to help you, starting at one end, kind of turn up and squash down that first bit and then carefully roll up the cake, making sure you're using that paper to hold it tight so that the cake doesn't split at all and it all stays together. Roll it up and then transfer it to your serving platter. And thank you, a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed. We've just hit 100,000 subscribers and I am blown away. So thank you for that. And if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do and join us for some more chocolate cakes and desserts. You can put all your requests in the comments below. Have a great week and I will see you next week with a dessert.